10 early signs of dementia you should never ignore. You forget a name, then a word, then why you walked into the room. Most people shrug and say, it's just aging. But what if it's not? What if these small slips were your brain's quiet way of whispering, please notice me, I need help? Over 55 million people around the world are now living with dementia, and the saddest part, many never saw it coming. Because the earliest signs don't look like memory loss. They hide in your sleep, your steps, your voice, even your appetite for life. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 subtle, surprising signs of early dementia that are too often missed until it's too late. If you care about your brain, your independence, and the life you love, please hit that subscribe button, not for me, but for the part of you that still dreams of staying sharp, kind, and connected no matter your age. Let's dive in, because when it comes to dementia, the clock doesn't wait, but with awareness, we can. Part 1. When your steps speak louder than words. The hidden clues in how you move. We often think memory is the first thing to fade when it comes to dementia. But for many, it starts with something even quieter: how they walk. Before the mind begins to forget, the body often begins to stumble. Maybe you've noticed its shorter steps, a sudden shuffle, or a tendency to drag one foot. You used to walk with confidence, but now you hesitate at the curb, you reach for railings, or you find yourself leaning slightly to one side, and maybe you've just chalked it up to old knees or stiff joints. But research from the Mayo Clinic has shown that changes in gait, how you walk, can precede cognitive decline by years. A study of over 1,000 older adults found that a slower walking speed and unsteady stride were linked with a significantly higher risk of developing dementia. Why? Because walking isn't just physical, it's deeply neurological. Every step you take is the result of dozens of brain signals coordinating balance, spatial awareness, and muscle timing. When those signals become disrupted, it's often a sign that something deeper in the brain is changing. Doctors call this a motor cognitive link. In fact, some neurologists now believe that how you walk may be just as predictive of dementia as what you remember. Even things like struggling to use cutlery, losing the ability to fasten buttons, or hesitating on stairs, these are not just signs of aging. They could be early warnings that your brain's communication system is losing harmony. Let's be clear, not every stumble means dementia, but frequent changes in posture, balance, or coordination, especially when they appear gradually, deserve attention. Because here's the truth, many people experience motor changes 5 to 10 years before a dementia diagnosis. By recognizing them early, you open the door to brain scans, cognitive tests, and most importantly, early support and lifestyle changes that can make a powerful difference. So before you shrug off that next misstep as just being clumsy, I ask you to pause. What story is your body telling you? In the next section, we'll explore another surprising clue: how dementia changes not just your balance, but your senses. Because the way we smell, hear, or taste the world may be one of the earliest cries for help from a struggling brain. Part 2. The vanishing senses when smell, sound, and taste begin to fade. In Part 1, we explored how your body through movement can send the first signals of cognitive decline. But what happens when the world around you starts to feel different? You no longer smell your morning coffee. Music that once comforted you now feels overwhelming. You misjudge the steps on the porch, or you find yourself unsure if the stove is hot. These aren't just quirks. They may be early signs that your brain is losing its ability to interpret sensory information, a key indicator of neurological stress long before memory begins to slip. Let's start with the sense of smell. A groundbreaking study published in Neurology found that older adults with a reduced ability to identify odors were nearly twice as likely to develop dementia within 5 years. Why? Because the olfactory bulb, where the brain processes smell, is one of the first areas damaged by Alzheimer's disease. Think about that. Something as simple as losing your ability to enjoy the scent of baked bread or fresh rain could be your brain's way of telling you something is wrong. Now let's talk about hearing. Age-related hearing loss is extremely common, but studies from Johns Hopkins University have linked moderate hearing loss with a threefold increase in dementia risk, and severe hearing loss with a fivefold increase. Hearing is more than perception. When your brain struggles to process sound, it pulls resources from memory, language, and orientation just to keep up. Over time, this overload can wear down cognitive reserves and accelerate decline. And it's not just about hearing loss. Sensitivity to noise, feeling overwhelmed in restaurants or busy places, can also be a warning that your sensory integration systems are faltering. Taste is another sense tied deeply to memory and emotion. People with early dementia often report that food just doesn't taste right. Some lose interest in meals altogether, not because they aren't hungry, but because the pleasure of flavor has faded. This not only impacts nutrition, it can erode joy, routine, and even social connection. These subtle sensory changes may seem insignificant, but together, they form a quiet constellation of clues pointing toward deeper neurological changes. If you or someone you love has noticed that the world smells, sounds, or tastes less vivid lately, don't dismiss it. The senses are messengers, and the brain is their interpreter. In the next part, we'll explore another surprising early sign when your muscles lose strength, not from aging, but from something happening deep inside your brain. Part 3, muscle weakness. When strength loss is a brain signal, not just aging. In Part 2, we saw how your senses smell, sound, taste can quietly fade as dementia begins to take hold. But the brain doesn't stop there. Sometimes, the brain begins to lose control of the body's strength long before we realize it. Have you noticed it's harder to open jars or carry grocery bags? Maybe your arms get tired faster than they used to, or your legs feel like they're made of sand. It's easy to blame this on aging, arthritis, or just a lazy day, but science tells us something else. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults with weak grip strength had a 55% higher risk of developing dementia over a 10-year period. That's more than half. Why? Because grip strength isn't just about muscle. It's about the brain's ability to send signals effectively. Every time you hold a fork, twist a lid, or lift your foot, your brain and nervous system are communicating. When that signal weakens, the strength begins to fade not because the muscles are broken, but because the brain is. Think of muscle weakness as a light bulb dimming. The bulb is fine, it's the power source that's flickering, and it's not just grip strength. Studies have also shown that leg weakness, poor balance, and decreased walking speed are all strongly associated with cognitive decline. In fact, one large meta-analysis involving over 16,000 participants found that reduced physical performance significantly predicted future dementia risk. Now here's the hopeful part. Unlike memory loss, muscle weakness is something we can feel, measure, and respond to early. If getting up from a chair feels harder, if you avoid stairs more often, if you've stopped carrying things because they feel heavier than they should, then it may be time to listen, not just to your body, but to your brain. The best response. Not fear, but action. Strength training, walking, resistance bands, even water aerobics, all of these activities help not only your body, but also your brain. Exercise increases blood flow to the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain, and promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and grow new connections. By protecting your physical strength, you may also be protecting your independence, your clarity, and your identity. Because here's the deeper truth. Dementia doesn't just erase memories. It slowly rewrites how you interact with the world. In the next section, we'll talk about one of the earliest signs that often gets confused with stress or poor sleep. The subtle changes in your nightly rest that could signal your brain is struggling to recharge. Part 4. When night doesn't heal, sleep changes that signal trouble in the brain. In the last part, we explored how muscle weakness can reflect neurological decline even before memory loss sets in. But there's another system the brain depends on each day, and each night's sleep. Sleep is when the brain heals. It clears toxins, repairs connections, and stores memories. But when dementia begins to take hold, sleep often becomes the first thing to break. Have you started waking up at 3 a.m. For no reason? Do you toss and turn, nap all day, but still feel exhausted? Or perhaps your dreams have grown intense, vivid, even disturbing. These may not be just age. In fact, studies from the National Institutes of Health show that sleep disturbances often occur 5 to 10 years before a dementia diagnosis. Sleep issues don't just signal brain stress, they may cause it. One particular type of sleep disorder, called REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, has been strongly linked to Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's. In RBD, the brain fails to fully paralyze the body during dream states, causing people to act out dreams, kick, punch, or talk loudly in their sleep. But even common issues like insomnia, sleep apnea, or frequent nighttime urination have been associated with higher risk of Alzheimer's. Why? Because sleep is when the glymphatic system, your brain's detox team, gets to work. During deep sleep, the brain flushes out waste proteins like beta amyloid and tau, both linked to dementia. When sleep is short, fragmented, or shallow, this system can't do its job. And over time, those waste proteins build up like rust on your brain's engine. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you groggy. It weakens focus, slows thinking, increases inflammation, and accelerates cognitive decline. And yet here's the gift: sleep is something we can influence. Creating a bedtime routine, reducing screen time, managing stress, using a white noise machine, and treating conditions like apnea. These small actions may add years of clarity and comfort to your life. If your sleep has changed and you can't quite explain why, please don't ignore it. Because the brain isn't just aging, it may be asking for help. In the next section, we'll explore how these hidden changes in sleep and strength often spill into something deeper, a loss of joy, purpose, and connection when apathy begins to replace who we used to be. Part 5, Apathy and Emotional Numbness. When the spark fades from within. In Part 4, we discussed how disrupted sleep could be your brain's way of calling for help. But sometimes the change is more emotional than physical. Sometimes it's not your sleep that changes, it's you. Imagine waking up and feeling nothing. You don't want to go outside. You stop returning phone calls. The books you once loved gather dust. It's not depression exactly. You're not sad. You're just disconnected. This quiet withdrawal has a name: apathy. And it is one of the earliest and most overlooked warning signs of cognitive decline. A 2020 study in neurology followed over 2,000 seniors for more than 9 years. It found that individuals who developed persistent apathy had a 2.4 times higher risk of progressing to dementia compared to those who remained emotionally engaged. Why is this so serious? Because apathy isn't laziness. It's not moodiness. It's a neurological change when the brain begins to lose interest in reward, curiosity, and social connection. You may notice this in small ways. Meals feel like chores, not pleasure. Family gatherings feel overwhelming or unimportant. You stop initiating conversations where we simply go along without opinion or feeling. And while sadness can pass, apathy tends to stick and deepen. It drains motivation, it erodes relationships, and tragically, it can delay diagnosis because many families mistake it for aging or fatigue. But here's the light in the dark: studies show that staying socially active, engaging in meaningful hobbies, and practicing emotional expression can slow this process. Even something as simple as calling a friend, tending a garden, or joining a senior choir has been shown to activate regions of the brain tied to emotion and memory. So if you've lost interest in the things that once lit you up, don't ignore it. Don't push it away. Talk to someone. Because when the spark inside begins to dim, the best thing you can do is let someone else help you relight it. In the next part, we'll talk about one of the most visible and frustrating early signs of dementia: language trouble. When the words begin to disappear, even before the memories do. Part 6, Language Breakdown. When words disappear before memories do. In part 5, we discussed how apathy can silently erase joy and motivation. But as dementia progresses, or even in its early stages, another deeply personal loss begins to unfold language. It starts subtly. You pause mid-sentence, searching for a word. You say thing instead of fork, or that place instead of kitchen. You might forget the names of familiar people, not because you don't recognize them, but because your tongue freezes where memory used to flow. This condition is known as aphasia, and it's not just frustrating, it's frightening. Language is the bridge between what we feel and how we connect. So when words begin to vanish, many seniors start to withdraw, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to express themselves anymore. According to a 2021 study from the Alzheimer's Association, language disturbances can appear up to 5 years before a formal dementia diagnosis, and they are especially common in people with early onset Alzheimer's or frontotemporal dementia. This includes misnaming objects, calling a shirt a jacket, repeating stories without realizing, losing the thread of a conversation, speaking less, or avoiding conversations altogether. It's not forgetfulness, it's disconnection. The neural pathways between thoughts and speech begin to break down. And here's the heartbreaking part: many seniors know something is wrong but feel embarrassed, ashamed, or frustrated when they can't say what they mean. This can lead to social isolation, depression, and even a misdiagnosis of mental illness. But there's hope. Just like muscles, the language centers of the brain can be strengthened with practice and care. Speech therapists often use techniques like naming exercises, conversation role play, and singing therapy. Yes, singing to reactivate neural connections related to language. And for family members, patience is the best medicine. Giving your loved one time to finish a thought, gently prompting with context, or even using photos to aid memory can help them feel seen, not judged. Language is tied to dignity, and preserving it even partially can mean preserving self-worth. So if you or someone you love has been losing words, don't chalk it up to age. Get it checked, get support, because when language begins to slip, the right intervention can help catch it and slow it down. In the next and final part of our series, we'll look at what to do after you recognize the signs. Because awareness is only the beginning. Action is what keeps your brain alive. The next step after awareness: how to protect your brain every day. You've walked with me through 6 quiet signals, the hidden changes in your movement, senses, strength, sleep, emotion, and language. And maybe now, you're wondering, what do I do with this? Here's the truth. You don't need to panic. You need to prepare. Because while dementia has no cure yet, we are no longer powerless. Science shows us that what we do today, how we eat, move, sleep, connect, and learn can shape our brain's future. So here's what I gently encourage you to do next. Talk to your doctor. Ask for a cognitive screening. Stay active. Even a 20-minute walk each day helps circulation to the brain. Protect your sleep. Make it a sacred ritual. Feed your mind with stories, puzzles, new words, and conversation. Stay connected. Call someone. Share a meal. Laugh. Most of all, listen to your own body, because your brain speaks, sometimes without words. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. You deserve clarity, dignity, and support at every stage of life. And if this video resonated with you, please consider subscribing, not just to follow content, but to stay part of a community that believes in thriving, not just surviving. You are not alone, and your brain, no matter its age, still has the power to heal, adapt, and surprise you. Let's protect it together.